Have you ever heard that colon cancer only affects older people? It's a very common belief, right? Well, let me tell you something that will surprise and perhaps worry you. In the last few decades, colon cancer cases among young people under 55 have doubled. And it doesn't stop there. According to the National Cancer Institute, colon cancer has become the leading cause of cancer death among people ages 20 to 49. Terrifying, right? In today's video, I'm going to show you the most subtle and hidden symptoms of colon cancer, the ones you absolutely must not ignore. I'll also tell you the story of someone who, just like you, underestimated certain signals, and how one small change saved his life. Stay with me until the end, because I'm going to reveal the most dangerous symptom of all, the one you don't expect, the one many ignore. In the meantime, tell me you're here and that you care about your health. Write in the comments, "I want a healthy life." Remember to immediately give a nice like, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell. Your well-being starts right here. Let's start right away. What exactly is colon cancer? It is a cancer that begins in the large intestine, often from small benign polyps that, over time, can become malignant. Does it seem impossible to you that people so young could be affected by this type of tumor? Unfortunately, this is a reality confirmed by the most recent studies. In recent years, in fact, cases of colon cancer in young people have doubled. And consider that, if caught early, colon cancer has a 91% survival rate. But if detected late, when it has already spread, survival drops dramatically to 13%. But let's move on to the signs that you absolutely must observe. 1. Changes in bowel habits. One day you are constipated, the next day you have sudden episodes of diarrhea, and this alternation lasts for weeks for no apparent reason? Or do you notice that your bowel movements have constantly changed, with stools that are thinner or more frequent than usual? Often these disorders are attributed to stress, an unhealthy diet or other common reasons. But if they persist longer than usual or become particularly intense, it's time to get checked out. A growing tumor can partially block the intestine or irritate its walls, causing irregular movements of the colon. 2. Unexplained weight loss. If you lose weight without changing your diet and lifestyle, there may be something wrong. Many forms of cancer steal nutrients from the body to support the growth of the malignant masses, or interfere with their assimilation. The result is that the body, little by little, weakens and loses weight. 3. Blood in stool. You may notice red traces on your toilet paper or a darker color to your stool. Caution, minor bleeding may be due to hemorrhoids or small cuts, of course. However, when bleeding recurs or is accompanied by constant pain and discomfort, it is a sign that should not be ignored. In some cases, the blood is even so digested that it turns the stool pitch black. This indicates that the bleeding may be occurring in a higher part of the digestive tract, but still does not rule out the presence of a tumor in the right colon. 4. Black or very dark stools. When blood comes from higher up in the digestive tract or the right side of the colon, it can make the stool dark or black. It is essential not to ignore this signal and immediately contact a specialist, because it could save your life. 5. Iron deficiency anemia. Some tumors, as they grow, produce a small but chronic hemorrhage. This can lead to a constant loss of iron, which is needed to form hemoglobin in the blood. If you find yourself anemic, especially if you are a man and there are no obvious reasons such as heavy periods, which in your case have nothing to do with it. If you feel excessively tired, it's worth investigating further. 6. Constant feeling of fullness or incomplete evacuation. Do you always feel like there's a weight in your lower abdomen, even after going to the bathroom? You may feel an unpleasant sensation of not being completely empty. In some cases, a polyp or tumor in the lower part of the intestine can put pressure on it, creating this unpleasant illusion. 7. Persistent bloating and gas. Of course, bloating and gas can be caused by specific foods or intolerances. However, if the problem becomes constant or appears suddenly without a change in diet, it could mean that something is altering the normal bacterial flora or the passage of food in the colon. But be careful, the most common and dangerous symptom is the absence of obvious symptoms in the initial stages. This is why regular screening tests are so crucial. Fortunately, today there are simple and reliable methods, such as colonoscopy, which allows not only to detect but also to remove any polyps before they become dangerous. Did you know that starting at age 45, colon cancer screening is highly recommended? In some situations it even happens before the age of 40. If you have a family history of colon cancer, or if you suffer from chronic inflammatory bowel disease such as Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis, you should start the checks before this age, in agreement with your doctor. Colonoscopy is considered the most reliable test, because it allows you to directly explore the colon and remove any suspicious polyps immediately. Yes, the idea of preparing for the exam and facing light anesthesia can be a little scary, but let's not forget the benefits. If there is some small lesion in the process of transforming, early intervention could literally save your life. If the thought of a colonoscopy scares you, there are non-invasive tests such as fecal occult blood testing or fecal DNA testing. They are less complete, but in many cases they can offer a first form of control. To make everything more concrete, I would like to tell you the story of Giulia, fictitious name, a woman who led an ordinary life, like many of us. Giulia is 35 years old, works in an accounting office and often spends hours and hours sitting at her desk. In her daily life, there is little time for physical activity and a lot for quick dinners or unhealthy snacks. Nothing that sounds too strange to us, right? Until a few months ago, Giulia didn't have any particular problems. Only occasionally did she feel a little constipated, which she explained away with work stress and a sedentary lifestyle. As the days went by, however, she began to notice another sign: blood spots on the toilet paper. It must be some hemorrhoids, he thought, underestimating the problem. After a few weeks, she began to feel weak. She felt dizzy every now and then, and in the afternoons her energy levels dropped so much that they forced her to stop. Even climbing a few flights of stairs became tiring. She had lost a little weight, but she thought it was because she was skipping some meals at the office. At home, however, the malaise began to make itself felt more and more. Pushed by her boyfriend, she decided to consult the doctor. The anemia emerged immediately from the blood tests: iron deficiency. The doctor, not convinced that it was just a dietary change, recommended further tests, including a colonoscopy. Giulia was perplexed. Colonoscopy? But I'm only 35, it's a procedure that older people do, right? Yet, the exam showed a small, bleeding polyp growing in the descending colon. The response: polyp suspicious for early tumor evolution. Fortunately, having been detected so early, it was quickly removed and analyzed. Giulia got away with a short hospital stay and, after some confirmatory tests, they told her that the worst was over. Had she ignored her symptoms, she would likely have been faced with a much more advanced stage of cancer. The lesson that Giulia wanted to share is this: the signs that we underestimate, weakness, some sporadic bleeding, constipation, can hide a danger far greater than we imagine. With a change in her habits, more exercise, a high-fiber diet, regular medical checkups, her condition improved and she now feels healthier than ever. I really urge you to share this information with those you love, because such a simple gesture could radically change someone's destiny. And if you want to support this channel that works every day for your health, you can do it easily by clicking on the thank you button that you find right below the video. It's a small gesture for you, but huge for our outreach project. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and activate the notification bell. Remember, prevention is always better than cure.